Oh, good morning, car lovers. Welcome back. Bobby Freeman here. You join me in a freezing cold southeast London today, where we're going to be having a look at the Jaguar E Pace. Now, those who have watched this channel before know that I'm a big fan of Jaguar. In fact, it's becoming a bit of a Jaguar themed sort of run at the moment. But this is the, obviously, if you don't know what it is, if you're not familiar with it, it's the smaller version of the F Pace. It's their it's their version of a smaller SUV, which is obviously an absolutely huge market. It's Jaguar's most popular vehicle, as it is with many of the brands. When the Porsche brought out their Macan, it was their most popular one as well. And there are a lot to choose from. But when you go for looking for something high end, we're looking at kind of this, we're looking at the Audi, we're looking at the BMW, and we're looking at the Porsche as well. So how does it stand up against them? Well, my friends, we're going to find out. So let's have a quick look around, which shall we? And as you can see, it's got the classic Jaguar front grille here. This particular one is the R Dynamic, which is a replacement for the R Sport. As you can see, this one's in a beautiful black colour. Can't go wrong with a black car. Well, you can actually. Personally, I don't really like black cars that much because they're very difficult to keep clean, but that's by the by. Let's go round the side here. Got lovely big vents here at the side, which again is very indicative of Jaguar. Got the headlights there looking kind of like something out of the future. Go around to the side view here. Slightly smaller alloys on this one, as you can see, but you know, sometimes in life it's not all about that. Well, it's not all about size. So as we go a bit closer, we can look here. We got the side grills here. You can get these in black as well. I think personally they work really well in black. I've got them on my XF, the gloss black with the black back. The bird poo here is optional, but this one's obviously spec with the full bird poo package. As we come around the back, you can see, as always, Jaguar have hands down nailed it with the styling. I don't know who is designing for Jaguar, but they clearly do an excellent job. And again, as you can see here from the back, as you can see, no automatic tailgate on this one, so I have to do it the old-fashioned way. As you can see, I think for a smaller SUV, it's not too bad. It's not ginormous, but pretty good, really. Look at that. I mean, I always like to, well, I don't always like to, but I thought it might be an idea, new section of the show, and I can actually test it by, oh my god, someone made a funny noise then. Test it by actually getting in the boot, and I think I fit quite nicely. We've also got a little bit of extra space under here, but well, actually, I tell a lie, we have got extra space, but it's completely taken up by the spare wheel there. But if you were to have no spare wheel, you would have a bit of space. We've got one 12-volt socket here in the boot, which is handy if you ever wanted to plug something in the boot for whatever reason, I don't know. You can, it's very nice and handy that you can actually just reach through here and push the seat down like that by just reaching in. That's very handy, rather than having to get out in the actual car and go around through the doors itself. Yeah, that is well, that's quite literally a boot, just in case you were wondering. Just look at the lines and the design on this Jaguar. It's absolutely awesome. You've got a really cool looking spoiler here. I mean, you do only get a small rear window on this fella, as we will look at in a minute, but I just think the way they design it is just absolutely, because a lot of these kind of smaller SUVs can look a little bit kind of like a little bit of a kid's car, especially, the Macan is particularly prone to that, I think. But I don't think there's a single angle where this looks bad from. I'm trying to find one. Is that one? No, looks good. Still looks good. Still looks good. Yep. Looks good at every angle. And as you can see, it's business as usual inside. Classic, very cool, very sleek, very well designed Jaguar interior. Lots of beautiful leather here. A gigantic dashboard over there, which just keeps going away and away. There's no way I could get. If I dropped a pen down there, that ain't coming back. This one's got the standard Jaguar infotainment system here, which a lot of people criticize. Now, they say it's not very smooth, but look, I mean, I've never had a problem with it. I've got it on my XF, and it's fairly easy to use. I think maybe the Germans do a slightly better job, but there's certainly nothing wrong with it. And of course, we've got the obligatory buttons and knobs down here. I do like to get in an era of touchscreens, which we are now. We know a lot of the cars now are going completely touchscreen, especially things like Teslas. I'm kind of old-fashioned here. I do like to, well, for want of a better phrase, I do like to fiddle with a knob. And as you can see, we have an abundance of knobs down here. 3 large knobs, 1 small knob. I'm literally a child. As well as all the buttons along here. So you got stuff here for the heated seats, you got stuff for the climate control here, and all the usual stuff along there. Then obviously the knobs here are going to be, if we turn that on, that's going to control your that's just what you need. So you just need the one that controls the fan speed, and then 2 to control the temperature. So when I'm driving along, I do not want to be fanning around in a touchscreen going through several different submenus, trying just to change the temperature by half a degree, or indeed change the fan speed. So that's great. We like that very much. A lovely, great big gear knob, the largest of all the knobs in this car, well, bar one. And again, I'm probably being a bit old-fashioned here, but when I drive, I quite like. I know with a manual, obviously you'd have your hand on there because you want to change gear, but in these days you don't really need to. But I quite like to have, and I think a lot of you guys do as well. I quite like to have a nice hand on the gear knob like that when I'm driving. I don't know why. It just makes me feel secure and like a big man. And then down here we got the different driving modes. This is slightly different to normal Jaguars. So usually you've got like a row of buttons down here, but this is quite handy there. You just click it that way to go into dynamic and that way to go into comfort. Auto start stop down here, and then obviously the traction control, which you definitely don't want to turn off in almost every scenario. And we've got, in terms of storage space, before we talk about the storage space, I love this kind of, which is borrowed here from the F-Type, this kind of line that's sort of dividing line that sort of comes down there and sort of sets the driver apart from the passenger. It's like, passenger, you're over there, know your place, do not cross this line. And again, kind of pointless, but I don't know, it just makes me smile. And to be honest, there are a lot of things in Jaguar which are kind of pointless, but just make you smile. And I think that's great. So yeah, storage space, we've got a load of storage space in here for a fairly smallish car. It's we're spoilt for choice for storage space. So you've got a lot of room down here to whack, or you can put several phones there if you wanted to. Nice little cheeky little 12-volt socket in there as well, very handy. Then we come across to the middle here. We've obviously got the obligatory cup holders, which I'm using as a key holder at the moment. Open the fella up and it's a ginormous space down here. Again, another 12-volt there. A normal USB there, which you can see I've got plugged in. Is that a USB-C? Yeah, that's a USB-C. As my regular viewers know, I do not like, I don't know why they had to invent it. The normal USB was perfect, but they had to go and change to this, which nobody uses. All right, some people use, but I don't use anyway. But anyway, the point I was going to make here, this thing is cavernous. Look how far down this goes, right? And not only does it go to there, it goes under here as well. And in fact, if you do this, you pull a little thing there, pull that out. Good Lord above. That is like, you could bath a child in that. Look at that. It's absolutely huge. You could fit at least, I reckon, 4, possibly 6 Big Macs in there, should you choose to do so. But it does not stop there, my friends. If we look down here to these door bins here, again, it's a bit dark there, isn't it? There we go, that's better. Absolutely huge. You've got all this space, nooks and crannies. There's a cranny in there. What's the difference between a nook and a cranny? I'm not 100% sure, but I think that is did I say nook or a cranny? It feels like a nook. Feels like a look to me. I think nooks are smaller, crannies are bigger. A couple of nooks there, and then a ginormous cranny. I don't know if you can see, but it actually doesn't. It looks like it stops here, but it actually goes all the way back down there as well. So you've got ample room to store all manner of things. So moving into the back, and yeah, it's a smaller USV, so you wouldn't expect it to be massively spacious in here. But I tell you what, not bad at all. In fact, I'd say it's pretty damn comfortable. And look, I am 6 foot, as we all know, and as we know in the UK, and I think everywhere. That's the kind of benchmark for being tall, where everyone sort of measures anything by being 6 foot. And as you can see, plenty of the old leg room there. In fact, I could even slouch down a little bit. I'd still have a good amount of leg room. So that's excellent. And it's kind of a sort of a cozy place to be. As you can see, it doesn't look as much leg room over there. That's just because I've moved this driver's seat all the way back just to make my video when I was in the front there. But as you can see, lovely kind of place. Obviously, we've got a lovely little, it wouldn't be a Jaguar, or indeed a luxury car, without a armrest on which to rest your arm. If your arm was feeling tired, you can just rest it like that on the armrest. That's why they call it an armrest. And of course, the old cup holders in there. In fact, do we have, what is that even? Ah, hello there. We've got a little tiny cubby hole, which weirdly, I don't have in my XF, because, well, I don't know why, actually, to be honest. You'd think an XF being a sort of their luxury saloon, they would probably have that, so I'm a bit annoyed, actually. But anyway, yeah, you could store something small and flat in there, like perhaps a single round of sandwiches. It's got the obligatory things here for holding magazines in. To be honest, I don't think I've ever used that in my life. What would you put in there? Kids' books, I suppose. Yeah, put your kids' books in there. Great, kids happy. And over to the centre console. Now this one, as you can see, has got rear heated seats, which is a very nice option, particularly on a freezing cold day like today. We've got the obviously the air vents there, in case you're wondering what they were, and another little tiny cubby hole. Couldn't get much in there. Maybe a couple of big marker pens and a lovely another 12-volt charger there. You can get, there is the option option of getting the USBs here as well. This one hasn't got it, but it's just got the 12-volt charger, which obviously you can stick. You could always stick one of those USB adapt things in anyway. And again, this car boasts some of the biggest door bins in the industry. It looks quite sort of sleek and slender there, but if you can see how much of my hand, oh my God, it's going, it's still going, it's gone. That's as far as it is. But you can see, basically, look at that. I can get my whole arm in there. It's absolutely amazing. It's not super wide, but it is definitely what it lacks in width. It certainly more than makes up for in depth. And in terms of headroom, again, look at that. Absolutely loads. I reckon I've got about, how much is that? About another 2 inches to go then. As I say, I am 6 foot, and I don't think I could even be sitting on a cushion. I wouldn't hit my head in there. It's amazing how they've managed to squeeze so much room out of what is a pretty small car, to be honest. However, as with the E Pace, which we featured the other week, it does suffer from a little tiny back window there, so the visibility isn't great. But to be honest, as long as you can see the car behind, you've got a reversing camera as well. Does it really matter? I don't think so. Well, this is a bit embarrassing. I've just gone to get out of the car after finishing this section of the back, and unfortunately, it's got a child lock on, and so I can't get out. So I'm going to have to crawl through to the front of the car like this. And I thought it might make a bit of good content, or maybe, perhaps. Oh my God, I did not think this through. Shit, how have I got myself in this situation? Oh my God, I'm 40 years old. I'm too old for this. Oh, good. Now I'm in trouble. Now, I didn't think about that leg. How am I going to get that through? Okay, hold on. Oh, yes. He's only done it. He's only gone and done it. No, this is... Oh, my God, this is going to be the trickiest bit. I'm going to have to employ the second hand to bring the... Oh, no, that doesn't bend that way. Hang on. Oh, ha! I've got cramp in my stomach. Cramp in the stomach. And he's done it. I've said it before and I'll say it again. You do not get that sort of thing on other motoring channels. So then, what's it like out on the road? Well, I've been driving this one all morning now, and it's kind of, the first thing that struck me, it kind of feels a bit different to what you usually expect from a Jag. Jag's usually kind of bit sort of more involving with the steering, kind of sports focused basically. However, this one's kind of different, and particularly in the steering. So the steering feels a lot lighter than I would usually expect in a Jag. It's not that kind of slightly heavy, feedbacky, sort of sporty steering. And to start with, I was kind of like, I'm not sure about this. But then the more you drive it, it kind of makes sense, because this is probably going to be used almost certainly as a family car. And do you really want kind of heavier feedbacky steering? Probably not, to be honest. You want something like, particularly if you live in the town, I mean, this is technically a small off-roader, but I doubt it's ever going to be going off-road. But a lot of these are going to be used in the town. So in which case, city steering is going to be absolutely brilliant. Now, it is quite a heavy car as well. Weirdly, it's actually heavier than the F Pace, despite being smaller than it. So they have stiffened the suspension up quite a bit. It makes for a little bit of a firmer ride, but I'm one of those people, as I've said before, I'm not hugely bothered about, unless it's literally bone shaking, I don't really have a problem with it. And yeah, I suppose going through a bumpy patch of road here, you can feel the bumps, but it's not as bad as some channels make out. And what you do get, the upside is when you do throw it into a corner, again, it's not a Lotus Elise, but it hangs on really nice and it stays fairly flat for a car of this weight and of this height. Ride position's good, feels kind of like quite high up. Visibility is excellent out the front window. The front window is absolutely colossal in stark contrast to the rear window. But as I said, I prefer, if I was going to choose, if I was going to choose a favourite window, I'd probably choose the front one. And again, like all Jaguars, they've got that awesome thing when you do pop it in sport mode, where the dials all light up red like it's angry, which is, like I said before, one of those things on Jaguars which is kind of pointless, but kind of cool as well. And again, going back to that suspension, when I was going over the bumpy road earlier, yeah, you feel a bit of bumps, but once you're on the smooth road, it gives you a lovely kind of planted feeling, really kind of secure and solid, and again, contributes to why, these cars are so popular. I'm gonna gun it here. Cool, you can probably hear the engine whining there. I'll tell you what, it's not bad at all for a little car like this. I say it's not a sports car, but really kind of pulls and gives you a sense of, you know what, that's not too bad. And weirdly, with it being such a heavy car, you don't get the sense of that. You don't get the sense that you're lugging along a load of weight at all. In fact, on the contrary, it feels kind of light. It feels like you can fling it left to right. It feels like there's sort of I don't think there's an engine in there. I'm just gonna throw it around this roundabout here, and yeah, corners like super flat, to be honest. I mean, I didn't absolutely throw it, but I gave it a little bit. And where would you would expect, certainly cars of old of this sort of style to lean over a little bit. That's super flat. That's really good. So to sum up, the car looks amazing on the outside, it feels amazing on the inside, it oozes that kind of real sort of high quality Jaguar feel to it. I don't think it's quite got the sort of dynamic drive of a Macan, but to be honest, that's only kind of 1%. When you take the other 99%, I think if I was to choose, I'd definitely choose this one, and certainly over an X3 and any of the other competitors when it comes to design wise, because it just looks amazing. In fact, the only tiny criticism I could give it would be that smaller back window, as we said, but as I said, I'm not too bothered about that. One other thing I did find as I was driving as well, I'm not sure we can see it, I think it's too dark down there, that I found that the little tiny sort of the patch where you put the little sort of pad where you put your left foot when you're driving is slightly small, but literally I can't think of anything else bad to say about this car. So if you are in the market for one of these smaller SUVs and you want something that's a bit more high-end, in fact a lot more high-end, going to turn heads, make you feel like you're in a luxury car, it's got to be the E Pace, because literally it barely puts a foot wrong. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video today. Hope you found it useful and informative. If indeed you did, don't forget to press the like button on the video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, or if you want to support the show, head over to the Patreon page or click the join button below this video. But until next time guys, I'm Bobby Freeman. Drive safe.